Part 1, The Signal from the Void. The discovery happened on an ordinary Tuesday, which seemed wrong somehow for something that would change everything. Dr. Sarah Chen sat in the observation room of humanity's first deep space listening station, nursing her third cup of coffee and watching data streams scroll across multiple screens. The station floated in the darkness beyond Neptune's orbit, a silent sentinel watching the vast emptiness between stars. Sarah had been monitoring deep space signals for 6 years. Most days brought nothing but cosmic background radiation, the occasional pulsar, and the lonely hum of the universe going about its business. She had long ago made peace with the possibility that humanity might be alone, that the silence was not temporary but permanent. Then the signal came. It was not like anything in the databases. Not a pulsar's regular beat. Not the random noise of distant quasars. This was structured, rhythmic, and undeniably artificial. Sarah's hands trembled as she isolated the frequency and ran it through every analysis program she had. The coffee cup sat forgotten, growing cold on the console. The signal repeated every 47 seconds. Each repetition was identical, perfect, mathematical. Someone or something was broadcasting this into the void, and they wanted it to be found. Sarah pulled up the directional data and felt her breath catch. The signal came from a star system 42 light-years away, a yellow dwarf star that humanity had catalogued but never seriously studied. She spent 3 hours verifying everything before sending her report to Earth. 3 hours of checking and rechecking, because she knew what this meant. Humanity was not alone. Someone else was out there, and they were calling. The response from Earth came faster than she expected. Within 8 hours, every major government knew. Within 12, the news was public. Within 24 hours, the world had changed. People gathered in the streets, some celebrating, some afraid, all of them staring up at the night sky with new understanding. The stars were no longer empty spaces between points of light. They were neighborhoods, and humanity had just learned they had neighbors. Command sent orders immediately. Sarah was to continue monitoring and begin decoding. A response team was being assembled. Humanity's best linguists, mathematicians, physicists, and diplomats were being pulled together for humanity's first attempt at interstellar communication. But Sarah had a head start, and she intended to use it. She worked without sleeping, sustained by coffee and the kind of focused intensity that comes from knowing you are standing at the edge of history. The signal was complex, layered with meaning. It took her 36 hours to crack the first layer. It was a mathematical sequence, prime numbers arranged in a specific pattern. Universal language, the same approach humanity had theorized for first contact. The second layer was harder. It contained coordinates, not just of their star but of multiple stars. A map, she realized. They were showing her where they were and where others might be. The galaxy was not just inhabited. It was populated, networked, connected in ways humanity had never imagined. The third layer made her blood run cold. It was a warning. The images were crude, simplified for understanding across species barriers, but their meaning was clear. They showed multiple star systems, connected by lines of travel and communication. Then they showed something else. A darkness spreading from system to system. Worlds going silent. Civilizations vanishing. The images showed ships, massive and angular, consuming everything in their path. The final image showed their own world, the source of the signal. It showed their star system surrounded by the darkness. It showed a single ship fleeing, broadcasting this message as it ran. Then it showed nothing. Silence. The end. Sarah sat back, her hands shaking. This was not a greeting. This was a distress call. This was a last message from a dying civilization, warning anyone who might listen about what was coming. She checked the signal's age, running the calculations based on distance and light speed. The broadcast was 42 years old. Whatever had happened there was long over. But the warning was clear. Something was out there. Something that destroyed civilizations. Something that might still be hunting. She sent her findings to Earth immediately, marking them Priority Alpha. Then she did something else. She began composing humanity's response. If there were others out there, others who might still be alive and running, they needed to know. Humanity had received the message. Humanity understood the warning. And humanity was not going to hide. The response from Earth's leadership was divided. Some argued for silence, for pulling back all broadcasts and hiding humanity's presence. Others argued for reaching out, for warning any other survivors, for trying to build alliances against whatever this threat was. The debate raged for 3 days while Sarah continued her work. Then another signal arrived. This one was different. Stronger. Closer. Sarah's screens lit up with data as she tracked the source. It came from inside the solar system, from somewhere near the asteroid belt. Her heart hammered as she isolated the signal and began analysis. This was not another warning. This was a direct communication, aimed specifically at Earth. The message was short and used the same mathematical framework as the first signal. Someone had been watching humanity for a long time, studying their broadcasts, learning their languages. The message, when translated, was simple and terrifying. We received your transmissions. We know you are there. We are coming. We mean no harm. We need help. We are the last. Please respond. Sarah's fingers flew across the console. She pulled up visual telescopes and aimed them at the coordinates. It took several minutes for the image to resolve, but when it did, she saw something that made her gasp. A ship, badly damaged and clearly limping along on failing systems. It was smaller than she expected, perhaps the size of a large aircraft carrier. Its hull was scarred and breached in multiple places. Energy readings showed its power systems were barely functional. They were not coming to attack. They were coming to survive. The last survivors of the civilization that had sent the warning were here, in humanity's solar system, asking for help. Sarah knew that what happened next would define humanity's place in the galaxy. Would they welcome these refugees? Would they help them? Or would they turn them away out of fear? She composed her response carefully, knowing it might be the most important message humanity ever sent. We are humanity of Earth. We received your warning. We see your ship. You are welcome here. We will help. You are no longer alone. She broadcast the message on all frequencies and waited. The response came 12 minutes later, the time it took for light to travel the distance between them. The message was brief, just 2 words, but Sarah felt tears on her cheeks as she read them. Thank you. The ship adjusted course, turning toward Earth. Sarah watched it come, this vessel carrying the last members of a destroyed civilization, and wondered what they would teach humanity about the galaxy. About the dangers waiting in the darkness. About what it took to survive when extinction came hunting. She filed her reports and prepared for what came next. Earth's governments were mobilizing. The United Nations called emergency sessions. Military forces went on alert, not out of aggression but out of uncertainty. Scientists prepared to study technology beyond human understanding. Medical teams readied themselves for contact with truly alien biology. But Sarah had already moved on to her next task. She was analyzing every piece of the original warning message, looking for clues about what had destroyed that civilization. Because she knew that whatever it was, it might come to Earth eventually. Humanity needed to be ready. They needed to learn everything they could from these survivors. They needed to prepare for a threat they did not yet understand. The ship would arrive in 17 days. 17 days to get ready for first contact. 17 days before humanity stepped out of childhood and into a galaxy far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Sarah saved her work and finally allowed herself to rest. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. But tonight, for the first time in human history, humanity knew for certain they were not alone. And that changed everything. The survivors arrive. The world watched as the damaged ship entered Earth's atmosphere 17 days later. Every screen on the planet showed the same images. The vessel was massive up close, easily twice the size of humanity's largest spacecraft. Its hull bore the scars of terrible battles, sections blown open and sealed with what looked like emergency patches. Parts of it glowed with strange energies that made human sensors go haywire. Captain Marcus Rivera stood on the deck of the International Contact Platform, a hastily constructed facility floating in the Pacific Ocean. He was a decorated naval officer, chosen to lead humanity's first contact team because of his steady judgment and diplomatic experience. But nothing in his training had prepared him for this moment. Around him stood representatives from every major nation, scientists, doctors, and security personnel. All of them watched the sky as the alien ship descended. The vessel slowed as it approached, its damaged engines sputtering and flickering. Marcus could see now just how badly it was hurt. Entire sections were missing. The hull was breached in dozens of places. It was a miracle the ship had made it this far. It settled onto the ocean surface with surprising grace, floating despite its massive weight. Water hissed and steamed where the hot hull touched the cool ocean. For several minutes, nothing happened. The ship simply sat there, silent and dark except for a few flickering lights. Marcus found himself holding his breath. Then a section of the hull began to move, sliding open to reveal a ramp extending down to the platform. Light spilled out from inside, pale and blue, unlike any human lighting. The first figure appeared at the top of the ramp. Marcus had seen the images Sarah Chen had managed to capture, but seeing them in person was different. The alien was tall, perhaps 7 feet, with a body that seemed almost crystalline. Their skin caught the light and refracted it in subtle rainbows. They had 4 arms, each ending in delicate fingers that moved with careful precision. Their face was angular, with large eyes that seemed to hold depths of sadness and exhaustion. The alien descended the ramp slowly, clearly weak. Behind them came others, perhaps 20 in total. All showed signs of injury or illness. All moved with the careful steps of people who had survived horrors. When the first alien reached the platform, they stopped and looked at Marcus. Their eyes met his, and Marcus saw intelligence there, and hope, and terrible fear. The alien spoke, and their voice was translated by a device they carried. The translation was imperfect, stilted, but understandable. "I am Keeper Valen of the Thurion people. We are grateful for your welcome. We are all that remains." Marcus stepped forward and extended his hand, a gesture he hoped would translate. "I am Captain Marcus Rivera of Earth. You are welcome here. You are safe now." Valen looked at the offered hand for a moment, then understood. They extended one of their 4 arms and carefully grasped Marcus's hand. Their touch was cool and smooth, like polished stone. "Safe," Valen repeated, and something in their voice broke. "We have not been safe in so long." The medical teams moved in immediately, helping the Thurion survivors to prepared facilities. Dr. James Wright led the medical response, a physician who had spent his career preparing for this exact scenario, though he had never truly believed it would happen. He examined the Thurion carefully, noting their biology was far more complex than human physiology. Their crystalline structure was not just skin deep. It went throughout their bodies, a fusion of organic and mineral components that seemed impossible. "They are dying," Dr. Wright reported to Marcus privately. "Their bodies are shutting down. Malnutrition, radiation poisoning, something we cannot quite identify. Without treatment, they have maybe weeks. Maybe less." Marcus felt a weight settle on his shoulders. These people had crossed the galaxy to find help, and they were dying anyway. What do they need? "Time," Wright answered. "Time to study their biology, to understand their needs, to develop treatments. Time we may not have." He paused. "But there is something else. Valen wants to speak with you. They say it is urgent." Marcus found Valen in a private room, sitting beside a window that looked out over the ocean. The Thurion turned as Marcus entered, their crystalline features catching the sunlight. Captain Rivera. Thank you for coming. There is much you must know. Tell me, Marcus said, sitting across from them. Valen was silent for a moment, gathering thoughts or perhaps memories. When they spoke, their voice was heavy with grief. The Thurion civilization was old. We had explored thousands of stars, built worlds, lived in peace for millennia. Then they came. The Devourers. That is what we called them. We never learned their true name. What are they? Marcus asked. We do not know their origin. We only know what they do. They consume. They arrive at a world and strip it of all resources. All metals, all organic matter, all energy. They leave nothing but dead rock. Then they move to the next world. Valen's eyes closed. They are efficient. Unstoppable. They destroyed 1,000 Thurion worlds in 5 years. Marcus felt cold. How many of you were there? Before the Devourers? 40 billion Thurion across our empire. Valen gestured to the room, to the ship outside. Now there are 23. We are all that escaped. The number was incomprehensible. 40 billion reduced to 23. Marcus struggled to process it. How did you escape? Our scientists gave us time. They developed a weapon, something that could slow the Devourers. It bought us hours, long enough for one ship to flee. We have been running for 42 of your years. Valen looked at Marcus directly. We sent the warning hoping someone would hear. Hoping someone would prepare. Now I must ask. Did you understand? Do you know what is coming? Marcus nodded slowly. We understood. You warned us about the Devourers. Are they coming here? We do not know, Valen admitted. We tried to cover our trail. We jumped through empty systems, took indirect routes. But they are thorough. If they detected our path, they will follow. They always follow. They cannot allow anything to escape. Then we need to prepare, Marcus said. You need to tell us everything. How they fight, how they move, what weapons work against them. Everything. I will, Valen promised. But you must understand something, Captain. The Thurion were more advanced than humanity. We had weapons you cannot imagine. We had ships that could tear apart planets. We had artificial intelligence that could outthink any organic mind. None of it mattered. The Devourers adapted to everything we used. They learned. They evolved. In the end, we could not stop them. We could only run. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Marcus felt the weight of them, the terrible implication. If the Thurion could not stop the Devourers, what chance did humanity have? But he pushed the fear down. Humanity had survived ice ages and plagues, wars and disasters. They had climbed from caves to spaceships through determination and ingenuity. Then we will learn from your mistakes, Marcus said firmly. We will find what you missed. We will adapt faster. Humanity has a talent for survival. For doing the impossible when we have no other choice. Valen studied him for a long moment. You have hope. I wish I could share it. Hope is all we have, Marcus replied. Hope in each other. You are not alone anymore, Keeper Valen. You have humanity now. And we protect our own. Over the following weeks, the Thurion survivors shared everything they knew. Engineers studied their damaged ship, trying to understand technology centuries beyond human capability. Scientists analyzed their weapons, their shields, their faster-than-light drives. Linguists worked to perfect translation. Doctors fought to save the Thurion lives, developing treatments based on their unique biology. And military strategists studied the Devourer threat. They reviewed every battle record the Thurion had preserved, looking for patterns, for weaknesses, for anything that might give humanity an edge. What they found was terrifying. The Devourers were not just ships or weapons. They were a force of nature, as unstoppable as entropy itself. But Marcus noticed something the Thurion had missed. In their desperation, in their panic, they had fought alone. Each Thurion world had defended itself in isolation, never coordinating, never sharing strategies in real time. They had been an empire, but not unified in the way that mattered. Humanity was different. Smaller, yes. Less advanced, certainly. But unified in a way the Thurion had never been. Every nation shared the threat. Every human understood what was at stake. And in that unity, Marcus saw a chance. He called a meeting of world leaders and presented his proposal. Not to run. Not to hide. But to prepare. To turn Earth into a fortress. To build weapons the Devourers had never seen. To fight not with desperation but with strategy, patience, and the combined might of an entire species. The proposal passed unanimously. Humanity began to prepare for war. And in their medical facilities, doctors succeeded in stabilizing the Thurion survivors. 23 had arrived. 23 would live. It was a small victory, but Marcus took it as a sign. If humanity could save the Thurion, maybe they could save themselves. Valen recovered slowly, their crystalline body healing under human care. They watched humanity prepare and saw something they had not seen in their own people. Not just hope, but determination. Not just survival instinct, but stubborn refusal to accept defeat. They began to wonder if maybe, just maybe, they had found the right refuge after all.